Well, good morning. Good morning. My name is Matt Moore. I have the great fortune to serve as Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And to my right is Travis Hill, who's the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture. And I want to welcome all of you here for your interest in this topic. This is our final meeting, and for a lot of you, you've been here throughout the whole process since, I guess, since early summer to now. And I want to thank all of you for your interest in this topic. We quickly learned last year during the General Assembly that the topic of what farmers can and should and could do on their farms by right is a very contentious and very complicated topic, and we learned very quickly that the issues really can't be solved in a one-hour committee meeting. And so Travis and I talked with Delegate Scott Lingenfelter last year about putting a group of stakeholders together to look at this issue in great depth, and I think we've had some good discussions. If you go to the website, the On-Farm Activities Working Group website, you'll see that there's a lot of comments, there's a lot of interest from folks all around the Commonwealth and all around the country for that matter. So I want to thank all of you for coming today for our final meeting, and I hope that we can have some good discussions. Again, really listen to ideas that are proposed and try to come up with the goal is to try to look at where we can find some consensus going forward. We'll go ahead and just go around the room and do introductions so everyone in the audience can know everyone that's sitting around the table. I'll make a few more comments and then turn it over to Travis for his remarks. Martha, we'll start with you.
Martha Bonetta. I'm with Liberty Farm in Paris, Virginia, of course.
Joel Salatin with Polyface Farm in Shenandoah Valley.
Lois Smith with Virginia Independent Consumers and Farmers Association.
Katie Frazier with the Virginia Agribusiness Council.
Billy Vaughn, Assistant County Administrator, Rockingham County in the Valley.
Paul Rogers, full-time farmer from Surrey County.
Freddie Widener, Director of Agribusiness Development for Pennsylvania County, beef cattle producer and silviculturalist.
I'm Steve Berryman from Surrey County. I'm a farmer, grows strawberries and pumpkins and pick your own crops.
Good morning, I'm Trey Davis and I represent Virginia Farm Bureau.
Well, I'm Holger Trumbo. I represent the Fauquier County Board of Supervisors.
Larry Lamb, representing Virginia Association of Counties.
Very good. Thank you, guys. You can see we've got a very diverse group of folks that have been involved in the process. And I want to very quickly just recognize a few folks on my staff that have really done a great job. When you come to these meetings, there's always materials prepared. When you go to the website, there's always things posted, and that doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of hard work. So Deputy Commissioner Sandy Adams, I want to recognize her, and then we have three folks from our Policy Planning and Research Office, Kevin Schmidt, who's the director, and then Karita Giles and Rebecca Askew. If you guys would raise your hand, let's give them a quick round of applause for those. As we get started in the discussions today, a lot of our discussions will probably center around local government issues, and we invited Dr. Mike Chandler. Dr. Chandler, would you stand over here on the right? He is pretty much the expert at Virginia Tech on all local use zoning ordinance issues, and so he came today not really to make a presentation, but more to observe and certainly as a resource for questions. And if there's discussions that come up, he also could be available for questions and to offer input as well. So Mike, thank you so much for coming today. And also Delegate Brenda Pogge in the back. Brenda, if you would stand. I served with Brenda in the House many years ago, and this is an issue that Brenda is very involved with and very interested in, and she's actually crafted legislation that could be considered for this next upcoming session, but I think Brenda's here today just to kind of listen and gather information, and certainly I think if there's legislation that comes out of this group, she may be interested in patroning that, so Brenda, thanks for coming as well. Lastly, I'll say in the back of the room there's a sign-up sheet. At the end of these meetings, we always allow 30 minutes for public comment. So if you'd like to speak, make sure you get your name on the list. And what we usually do is we've allotted 30 minutes for comment, and we'll kind of divide that up between the number of people that have signed up. Typically, it's a couple of minutes at a maximum per speaker, depending on the number of folks that we have. So if you'd like to speak, please sign up at some point during the meeting, and we'll save our last 30 minutes for that. So with that, thank you for coming, and I'll turn it over to Travis.
as Matt said, I'm Travis Hill. I'm the Deputy Secretary of Ag and Forestry, and I too would like to thank everyone for coming out and expressing their strong interest. I think we've had a productive 2 prior meetings where we've covered a lot of ground, and then in the interim we've had a number of proposals floated, which are contained in materials I think in the back that are out there, and to kind of I think commemorate where we're headed. I dressed appropriately today. If I beat my daughters to my closet, I get to pick out my tie, and I got to do that today. And I'm wearing a tie that I got at the Loudon Farm Museum. And my thought was, the Loudon Farm Museum, if you haven't been there, it's a great venue. But I think we're all here because we want to make sure that folks learn about farming and experience farming at places other than a museum. And that's really the mindset here. And so that's important to everyone, and that's something that that Matt and I shared when we went to Delegate Lingenfelter, because we felt that everyone that went to the podium on the legislation last session said they were interested in the rights of farmers and wanted to protect farming. And so we felt that if everyone was motivated by that baseline, there ought to be a way to try to find some common ground. And so that's why we're here on this 3rd meeting. The bulk of what we're going to do today, I think, is talk about the proposals that have been floated. After going through some preliminaries, what we're going to try to do is have the proponents or whoever floated each proposal kind of walk through the high points, very briefly kind of explain what they think those proposals bring to the table, the motivating factors of those, give them a chance to explain it, and then answer questions from the folks here at the work group, what they might have questions about, and then really kind of hopefully have a free-flowing discussion among the work group about what they like about the proposal, what they think could possibly be brought to the legislature, something good, where they think there are concerns with that proposal, where they think there might be improvements made, with the idea of really creating a robust record for our staff to collect, so that the legislature has a full record of the various proposals that were brought forward, hopefully with an eye toward identifying those areas of consensus among the group. I've read through the various proposals. There are areas of parts of consensus within each proposal, so I think we've got a place to start, but that's really what I'm looking for through this discussion as we move forward, and hopefully identifying some areas that we can move forward on. So with that, I think the next is if anybody has any feedback on the July 23rd meeting summary and clarifications or anything of that nature.
Kind of ready to work.
All right. So moving on to item 4, the first item on the list was a proposal made by Mark Fitzgibbons, which was the Virginia Farm Rights Protection Act. Mark said he was going to be able to come down here. I don't know if he's come into the room yet or not.
He's here.
Okay.
So he's just coming a little bit.
Okay. So I don't know if we want to move that down the list and allow, I don't know, Joel or Martha or Lois, or if you guys want to kind of tag team your proposal to walk through it a little bit and hit the high points.
Well, I guess we can. I think it's pretty clear before you. If I could, I think to get to the nub, we believe that that liberty should be broad rather than very, very narrow, and so essentially what we have now is an economic segregation, which I would suggest is as discriminatory as racial segregation, in that if a farmer may not value add and join local commerce, then innovation and prototypes are actually segregated out of the marketplace, and that is not good for the health, safety, and welfare of Virginia citizens, to be denied the innovative opportunities of on-farm value-added activities. And so as we look at the, and I know we'll get into plenty of discussion, but looking at some of the things, I think that we would like to, right at the top, suggest that we don't want the activities of this group to be limited to recreation and tourism. And we're concerned that that appears to be the only freedom that's going to come out of this working group. And that is a tiny portion of the kind of freedom we're looking for. Martha and Lois can add to that, but
well, I think we have a pretty solid bill. I think we went through it and we were broad enough, but we were specific to include the rights of farmers to sell the things they produce, which I think is very important, like the wineries that grow 100% after they have that right. I think it's clear and comprehensive, and we kind of went through and labeled it, and I think our bill is the most solid bill out here because we have defined it and we're telling you exactly what we want. So I think that's important. The other bills were kind of vague, and I think our bill would really turn around farming in Virginia to be something that's positive and more farmers come to the table.
I have a quick question, if I could. Is the intent of your bill, just to make sure that we're all clear in the room, when you talk about selling products on the farm, I mean, is the intent of your bill to encompass and include things like the sale of raw milk or inspected meat? I mean, is that included? Is that your intent?
I can answer that. There's already a very specific, it's a very specific bill already about the sale of raw milk. Personally, I do have a cow share, and I do cow shares, so I love raw milk, but it's not really our intent. Our intent is to open up markets to get people farming.
Okay,
generally, specificity trumps generalness, and so while I would love to be able to buy raw milk by the glass anywhere in Virginia. I mean, they sell it in vending machines in Europe, and nobody gets sick. So I would love that, but this speaks generally, and so if there is under the food safety code, if there's a more specific requirement regarding raw milk, or butchering a chicken, or anything, then that specificity trumps the general. We're just trying to create the general idea that a farm should not be precluded necessarily from being able to bottle milk. That is on-farm commerce and should be allowed. If there is specificity regarding how that milk should be bottled or how that milk should be handled, then that trumps the general freedom.
I think that's an important distinction to make, because I know when you get into this issue, there's so many opinions from one end to the other. And so I think that's an important clarification to make, that your intent is not to bring in all of those other activities that currently are not allowed by law. Okay.
Not if there's something more specific.
Did you want to?
The current right to farm laws, while well-meaning, and of course I support completely, do not fully address all of the activities that occur on a working farm. And so, one of the goals, one of the intents of this bill is to address them so that farmers don't have to take time away from their families, from their farms, from their responsibilities to litigate, to protect their rights. And I just wanted to finish by thanking Matt Lohr and Travis Hill and everybody on the panel for giving us all the opportunity to come and address these important issues. And thank you for that.
Thank you, Martha. We're going to obviously have a lot more in-depth discussion on this, but I guess for right now, before we go on to the next proposal, does anyone around the table have any questions?
I have one.
Go ahead, Paul.
You've got in your proposal where farm means a tract of land devoted to agriculture. Are you speaking if I live in a subdivision and have a house and a garden or chickens. I hate to bring up the word chickens with some of the things that have gone on. But are you considering that a farm?
I think that we would, if you want more specificity, y'all jump on me if I'm wrong here. I've been pulled back several times on this thing. But I think if it's worthy of land use, you know, the land use taxation, filling out, that would certainly be a farm. I'm not sure we're interested in anything else at this point. Just if it adheres to the land use taxation.
For agricultural
Yes.
farm?
Yes.
You've answered my question. Thank you.
My question was, in the number 1, when you go through and explain the details of the bill, you mentioned that a standalone act in section 15 is appropriate, but then looking at the drafting of the bill, it's drafted at Title 3.2. So just wanted some clarification as to where you would put this law.
Yeah, a fair question. We don't care where it goes. It can be, you know, XYZ, flying saucer, whatever. We don't care where it goes.
Thank you.
Larry?
Larry?
I think I have 2 questions. On under the definition of agriculture, I'm just noticing for it's partly defined as the science or art or the production of plants and animals useful to man. I guess this means all types of animals, including companion animals, or do you mean just livestock, or is there any limitation to what you mean there?
I would answer that. That definition came out of the dictionary of black law. So that definition already of agriculture. So,
Would that be in the intent, though, to broaden it to include companion animals, puppies, things like that?
So you mean like for a breeding farm?
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, I'm just asking.
No, that's a fair. We just lifted this from the law dictionary.
Okay. The second question I have, down on, well, these pages aren't numbered, no, but under where it refers to 3.2311, paragraph C, mega farm commerce activities for which a special exception or special use permit may be allowed. What is a mega farm? Is there a threshold that you have in mind for defining a mega farm?
Go ahead. Woodstock.
That's an answer.
I think this subsection specifically addresses recreational type activities, not scale of production or value add. If you look at it, it's, you know, such as state, county fairs or mega events. Yeah, if somebody wants to put a number there, you know, 10,000 people, why, you know, maybe we can put a number there, but we didn't put a number. But it's a fair question.
And I guess, and I would follow up on that because I was a little bit confused on the mega events part. I mean, it seems, and you all tell me, the way I would go down this road is to say the way you looked at regulating a mega event would be informed by your language that says would involve a substantial portion of the public so as to raise health, safety, and general welfare concerns. So is it in your mind the locality would end up in its ordinance defining what a mega event would be by applying its public health, safety, welfare analysis by saying things that involve traffic, sanitation.
Yeah, and then what you're suggesting is that as that ordinance develops, it would be up to the locality to determine. The state's given us the freedom to have to go up to mega without a license. What is mega? Right. And then the locality